Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And we are back on the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast. We don't take holidays off here, okay? It's prospect talk. We're talking prospects, and we're also going to talk a little bit of Four Nations face-off. That's the big thing happening in hockey right now. We're going to give our thoughts on the event and how it's been unfolding so far. News coming out of the WHL. 2 more teams will be added to the league next year. Grant, you also identified a past draft that's eerily similar to this one in 2025. We're going to dissect that a little bit, as well as our usual PBS prospect of the week. We also have an underrated prospect of the week and a surprise prospect of the week. It's going to be a fun show ahead, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Let's do it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Recruits Draftcast.
With our first pick in the 2022 NHL Draft, les Canadiens de Montréal sont fiers de repêcher from the Slovakian national team and TPS Turku, Juraj Slafkovsky.
The sickest NHL draft and scouting podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Producer Shane here, joined as always by the great Grant McCagg. Grant, how are we feeling today?
Excellent.
You went skiing? Yeah, feeling good?
Oh, no, I didn't go skiing today. Waiting for the things to get packed down a little bit there by let somebody else blaze the trail. We got, I don't know if you got 40 centimeters, but we got 30 to 40.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my exercise yesterday was shoveling a trail for the Yorkies in the back because it was 4 times over their head and the driveway, and that was plenty. Although I had a neighbor, God bless him, he came over with a snowblower, and where the snowplow leaves that.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty heavy, and it was going to take quite a while to get rid of the what the snowplow puts right in front of your driveway, and he came over and did that with a snowplow unprompted. So I don't know if he likes beer or not, but I'm going to buy him one.
Love it
for that. That's pretty nice.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I was shoveling all night too. So
yeah,
those in the east north like us, you probably got dumped pretty good there. So hopefully everybody's okay and safe. But apparently there's more coming. So
another 40 coming on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh well, I actually don't mind. It gets me out and gives me exercise, and I don't mind it that much. So, and I mean, it means it probably extends the cross country ski season so it'll take an extra week just to melt that. Those 80 centimeters that we're going to get over this week.
Well, I'm happy it pleases you because I'm not in the same boat. I hate it. I
always try to look.
Yeah,
it's all good. Look for that silver lining.
Absolutely. Sorry. I love that point of view. That's amazing. All right. Well, Grant, these last 2 days have been a lot of fun in the world of hockey. Obviously, the Four Nations face-off is underway in Montreal. The first game, Canada-Sweden, it had record audience members. I mean, a lot of people were tuning in, even in the States. I saw somewhere that there's over 1 million people watching in the States. So the tournament so far, 2 games in, safe to say is a success. That first game, though, Canada-Sweden overtime, Sidney Crosby 3 points. I mean, the ovation for Mario Lemieux, everything that was special. That really was special. And, yesterday's game, USA-Finland, not as tight of a game, but still best on best is always like there's not enough of it, right? And we've been robbed of it for many years now. So I'm happy to see that, it's a success and the NHL is actually recognizing that, and they've committed to more international events in the future. So all positives right now.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't, I tuned out of last night's game. I'll be honest, after, I don't know, sometime in the second period. Yeah. I'm not that, I'll watch all the Canada games, maybe US, Sweden, but Finland, I mean, Jari Saros is your best goal. Their goaltending's not any better than Canada's. It might be worse, their back end. They're not, without Heiskanen, that blue line's pretty sparse, I like Lindell, but if he's your number one defenseman, I mean, he's not even, obviously not the number one defenseman on Dallas,
It's like number 3. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, he's on the second pairing, but I really like him, but he's just not
He's good. No.
Yeah. He'd be number 4 or 5 on Canada, probably. So, yeah, they just couldn't stick in there with well, I mean, they kept it close for 2 periods, right? But US has a superior team, I think, for sure, and it's a 3-nation, looks like a 3-nation tournament. I don't know, the Czechs. I think the Czechs, I don't know why they didn't go with 6 teams, like or 5 even. Like the Czechs, I bet you could have iced it every bit as good a team or better than Finland.
Yeah.
It's funny that they did that, but I that was touching. I really enjoyed the ovation for Mario there. That was really cool.
Awesome.
The prodigal son comes back and gets a really nice ovation, and the boos, the light boos that we heard for Marner at the start and throughout the game kind of ended. They were gone by the end of overtime, right?
Even Marchand got cheered at the Bell Center. How about
that? Right. That's right. So we put those things aside when it comes to Canada, right?
Absolutely.
And I think there's a little extra patriotism right now with the with all the tariff stuff that's been going on, and that it's kind of it's pulled us together. Like
absolutely,
even the conservatives and the liberals are sort of working together, like on the same side for once, for the first time in decades, it seems like. So, at the end of the day, we're Canadian, right? And despite political differences and stuff, when we get bullied or attempted to be bullied, that doesn't go over too well in a hockey mad nation.
No, we band together and we love one another. Proud to be Canadian and proud of this team, man. This is special. A power play of Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, Makar, and Reinhart is just it's out of a dream. Like, and 50 seconds in, they scored one like a beautiful goal. So it's really a treat that we're getting to see this rather than the boring all-star game where the players don't even care. Like, this is night and day. Great decision by the NHL. Hopefully they keep doing it. But nonetheless, this is a step in the right direction for a league that has had many missteps. We'll keep this, general, but I've disagreed with a lot of what the NHL has done. Not this, however. 4 Nations face-off gets a big thumbs up from me.
And they even looks like they sold out the Canadian game or close to it. So
even with $3,000 tickets, the people still buying, baby.
Wow,
people still buying.
I have my issues with that, and I'm not as excited about the whole thing as you. I think it's a money grab, and they did a lot of things wrong. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'll watch every Canadian game. I've watched every. I watched the Summit Series in 72. I watched the WHA Summit Series in 74. I watched the Challenge Cup in 79. I watched the Canada Cups in 76, 84, and 87. I watched the World Cup in 96. Every best on best. The Olympic Games, whenever even when it wasn't the NHLers, I watched every Canadian Olympic game since 76. They weren't in 72. But every time Canada plays any important international game. I've missed a couple of World Championship times, but not many of those either. But every best on best since '72, I've watched every game. So yeah, I'll be cheering for Canada and rooting them on. And like, I was pretty excited when Sid made that pass early on, and I thought, okay, here we go. We're gonna roll. We're gonna tramp these guys, eh? And they did. And somebody, a journalist in my age group, did bring up the fact that, hey, Canada in '72 started out 2-0 up on Russia and looked like it was going to be and ended up losing the first game 7-3. And then when Sweden came back, you're reminded a bit of that. You're thinking, oh, we're going to stomp on them. But Sweden came back and tied it up. I figured it would be a tight game. Sweden, when you're playing for your country, it's a completely different thing. And these guys,
yeah,
I figured they'd step up and, if anything, overachieve a little bit. But they have a really good team too. So
Sweden's loaded. That defense, wow.
Yeah,
that's a decoy right there. Love it. No, Sweden's you can't sleep on Sweden. No chance. But
no.
To your point, Grant, I mean, the last international best on best event was the 2016, world, whatever they want to call it, right? With the North American team and all that. That was 9 years ago. I mean, there's kids that weren't born yet that are learning to love hockey, right? Getting into it. This is just amazing to help grow the game as well, to help the younger kids get to see the best players in action. And some of them, live in person, right? The kids in Montreal that got to see the game there. I mean, that's a core memory right there. So I have a lot of good things to say about this event.
There's some happy rich kids in Montreal today, I guess.
If you want to look at it that way, sure. But
yeah, I don't know, yeah.
But no, I thought it was worth touching on, even though it's not prospect related. It is hockey related, and we can talk hockey all day long. So love it, and cannot wait for Saturday's game. Canada USA 8 p.m. is going to be huge. And we just got news that, unfortunately, Cale Makar is dealing with an illness. So the therapy crew needs to pump him full of Tylenol or whatever he needs to get him on the ice, because we need him. We need him. We already lost Shea Theodore. He broke his wrist. But hopefully Cale's good to go tomorrow night. Therapy day for him. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, well, he'd have to be pretty injured not to play.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay, but just help him out today.
Doesn't hurt that Joe Sakic's his boss, and Joe has he'd be a bit patriotic too. Were you old enough to remember Joe Sakic? You probably heard the call from Bob Cole before. He scored the huge Olympic goal for Canada back in the day. No, that would have been before your time, I guess. A little too young.
I know Joe. I'm well aware who Joe is, but no,
you don't have thorough
one.
memories from when you were 2 or whatever.
Unfortunately, no. I'm not built like that. Not built like that.
I remember Expo 67. I was 3. We went to Expo 67, and I remember getting lost. Dad and I went on the monorail, and whatever Mom and my sisters didn't. And I remember them calling over the PA system for for those guys, and we finally got hooked up back up. But yeah, we got separated there at one point, and that was something, that Expo 67. I mean, for me to even remember that, I think it's my earliest memory going to Expo 67 in Montreal when I was 3. So
wow.
Anyway, good times.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I don't know.
No.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Grant, we got some good stuff on deck today. But before we get cracking, we of course got to give a big shout out to our good friends over at Insta Customs. Insta Customs as you well know, is Canada's highest rated custom apparel and drinkware print shop. Okay, they boast an impressive 4.9 Google star rating. So whether you need printed or embroidered t-shirts, hoodies, crew necks, hats, and more, they've got you covered. They specialize in emergency rush orders to meet your tight deadlines. Now, their store is conveniently located on Stanley Street in downtown Montreal, but you can order online just as easily. So you order today, it's printed today, pick up or shipped today. Visit them at instacustoms.com. Some news out of the WHL. 2 teams joining the league in Penticton and Chilliwack starting next season out of the BCHL. Wanted to get your thoughts on that transition and what it means for the CHL and the WHL.
Yeah, it hasn't been officially announced yet, but from all indications, Penticton and Chilliwack are going to be moving from the BCHL to the Dub. I know there'll be a lot of scouts that won't mind that at all. Their favorite, the crossover scouts from Eastern Canada, they book as many games to Kelowna as they can.
Yeah.
And Penticton, they'll be going to as many games there as they can too, because that's one of the most beautiful, maybe the most beautiful area in all of Canada, and just a great place to visit. So scouts are going to be happy about that. I don't know how happy the BCHL is going to be, especially Penticton was they spearheaded this move away from Hockey Canada. They were big, BCHL, like let's get out of Hockey Canada and go independent, and then they turn around and scoot to the WHL. Like I think there'll be some noses out of joint from other BCHL teams, and I don't blame them for that. It's not clearly looking after their best interests. It's fair to say, but the rumor has it that I guess they had to pay Kelowna $1 million fee, and it's been paid. That's what I hear or read, anyways, for being in the same region, like locale, so territorial fee for being in the same, close enough that they had to pay Kelowna $1 million. So if that's the case, then they're obviously moving. They're not going to give Kelowna $1 million just because they like them. So I guess Lars Hudson won't be heading to. You can stroke that off the list of possible places where he's going to play next year, because I think he'd have to have been drafted in the Bantam draft, and he's obviously too old for the Bantam draft now, so they wouldn't have his rights in any way. So London and just became the front runner for landing. If he doesn't, it's either going to probably be Muskegon or London will be where Lars, the next Hudson left defenseman, it will be playing next year, one of the two. What London would do, I guess, is draft them, the usual thing, tell them, well, the only place we'll play in Ontario is London, so don't draft us. And London picks them in like the 8th round, and they've been doing this for 20 years since the Hunter boys have been there, right?
Yeah.
Hey, just the way of beating that is just being as good a coach and GM as Dale and Mark Hunter, and then you can do the same thing in another junior team, right? Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. They're the best, so the best Americans that want to play junior hockey in Canada, typically, if they can kind of have their own say, they go there, right? But yeah, 2 more. I guess it would give an imbalance of 13 teams in the West and 11 in the East for the WHL. But that's fine. I mean, just an extra team in each division. on the Western Conference. But yeah, the more Canadian teams, the better, as far as I'm concerned. In
Of course, yeah.
In the CHL, it is called the Canadian Hockey League. So I think Chilliwack and Penticton are, should have teams in the WHL. So hopefully it gets done, and scouts, like I say, are going to be happy. Good news for scouts. They'd rather go scout a game in Penticton than in I don't know, Prince George.
Well, like you said, it hasn't been confirmed yet. We will keep tabs on that situation, but most likely that's why we're able to talk about it. It's probably going to happen. So love to see that. And I thank you for mentioning the Hudsons, because I think it's worth extending a congratulations to both Quinn and Cole, friend of the show, for winning the Bean Pot. BU beats BC to win the Bean Pot this year. So congratulations to them. And Cole Hudson, my goodness, like Washington got a good one. Like, wow, he's good, man.
Yeah, between him and Leonard, those two nice pieces coming, sooner rather than later.
You add Crystal to that. You add Parashak to that. Like, Washington's doing good. Like, they're doing good. So,
well, for getting guys not in the top 10 or whatever, those are all, I mean, we'll still have to see how Crystal translates. Like, he's not going to tear up the NHL like he does the WHL.
But still,
he's a kind of a Sean Farrell type of player, that tears it up at junior level. But we'll see whether he can be an NHLer or not. But he certainly got the if he does make the NHL, he'll help your power play and get points.
He's been incredible in Spokane so far. So it's good to be a Washington Capitals fan, unless you're watching the Four Nations face-off, because there's no Capitals players playing in the tournament. So
funny,
that's interesting. That's
not good enough.
Anyways, I digress, Grant. But no, it's congrats to the Hudsons and friend of the show, Cole, and Washington Capitals fans. If you haven't seen the show, go back and watch it. It's I thought it was a great interview with Cole there. So maybe we'll try to get Quinn and Lars down the line when he's ready. So love the Hudsons. They're good for the sport.
I put an APB out for to get Lane to join us during this 2-week break, but it's not.
He's on the ice, Grant. He's on the ice. This guy doesn't stop. He went to Boston to go watch his brothers win the Bean Pot, and he brought his stuff with him. He's practicing with these guys.
Oh wow!
There's no days off for Lane. Like,
when they're saying like go to the beach or whatever. Yeah, no. Maybe throw a bit of sand on the ice. That'd be the closest he get to the beach.
No,
but
that's it.
Yeah, he would come on in a second if he had permission, but I don't think he has permission from the powers that be, and that's too bad. But hey, still converse with him on occasion. He still, in communication, and great kid. I just he's remained so humble.
Oh yeah,
considering that he could be the opposite, and he's not at all. He's very down to earth kid.
Exactly.
Got those Manitoba roots. They didn't go. They're still in there. The ancestry.
Love it. Well, that's a good family right there. Folks, I want to, of course, give a big shout out as well to Cheapest T-shirts. If you're looking for the cheapest clothing prices, you have to check out CheapestTshirts.ca, where they offer the cheapest wholesale prices on 36 top clothing brands and 941 different items. Okay, you can enjoy their unbeatable cheapest wholesale prices with no minimum order requirements. You order today, you get it tomorrow. Don't miss out on amazing savings. Shop today at CheapestTshirts.ca. You brought this to my attention before the show, and I thought this was really interesting because the 2025 draft class, as we know, is front heavy with Canadians, right? This is a very strong Canadian draft. And you went all the way back to see when was the last big, good Canadian draft. And we had to go all the way back to 1987. But look at this. Look at this. All Canadian, 1 through 21. That's impressive right there. So in terms of comparison, and it's a pretty good draft. You read the names there. I mean, Joe Sakic at 15, hello. But
Yeah, not bad.
in terms of comparison there, 87, 25. I mean, do you think there could be actually more Canadians in the first round this year?
Yeah, well, not more than 21, but I went back over every draft going back to 87. And right now I have 18 Canadians ranked in my top 24 and 19 ranked in the first round.
Yeah.
You have to go back to 87 to find more than 18. There have been a few drafts where there were 18, including last year. So it's going to be a really nice run. These, like last year and this year, could be 36, 37 players picked from Canada over 2 drafts. Wow. 37 out of 64. That's, well over half, right? So that's, I mean, it's a good time right now for Canadian hockey. And I think you'll see it down the road. The World Junior team should be pretty solid over the next couple of years. And then obviously, these, 4-nation face-off type events in the future, I think Canada's going to be a favorite for for a long time coming. So yeah, it was just interesting to see. I was going through 88. There were 18 out of 21. 1990 was 16 of the top 20 were Canadian, which is pretty impressive. 88, 28 of the top 31 were Canadian, but they're 87, 21 out of 21. I mean, we'll never see that again, obviously, but 19 or 18 of the top 24, like it's been decades, several decades before that any nation had that sort of, predominance in the first round of the draft. So crossover scouts are staying put this year. There's not a lot elsewhere, but I highlighted 3 players that weren't in the CHL this year. I'm still trying to mine a few nuggets there, get some sleepers. So as far as who we're going to highlight this week, I picked 3 guys outside of the CHL.
That's good. But, another thing that's fun for us, right? And, obviously we're based out of Canada. And so we are biased towards our Canadians. And you look at the last 2 drafts, right? Bedard, Celebrini, both Canadians. This year, likely to be Schaefer, Canadian. Next year, McKenna. The year after that, Landon Dupont. Could be a 5-peat there, first overall Canadians. And then beyond that, I mean, we're not that far down yet, but it's nice to see that, we're still pumping out some good talent over here. And
absolutely,
it's still our game. It's still our game.
Well, there were a few years where, it wasn't a Canadian going first overall. And if we can have a run of 3 to 5, it's been a long time. And it bodes well, obviously. Yeah, it's I think 7 or 8 guys are in the running for the top 10, this year. And that hasn't happened very often in the past 20 years either. So it's a good time for Canadian hockey right now. We're pumping out some good talent. Absolutely. Now we just need a couple more goalies.
Yeah, that's hopefully that's coming soon. And folks, if you want to rep some Canada merch, you can go find that over at Sport Buff. All right. Sport Buff is where you shop all your sports licensed lifestyle apparel. Okay. Hoodies, caps, and tees of your favorite teams from all major leagues. It's only at sportbuffshop.com. And if you use code SICK10, you can get 10% off all their items. All right. I do believe we've reached the point of our PBS prospect of the week. And as per usual, our PBS prospect of the week is proudly brought to you by Priority Business Services. Priority Business Services is your preeminent independent Bell store. They provide cellular sales, Bell TV, internet, and home services. Okay, they specialize in large IoT deals. So if you're about to launch a project, call them at 613-432-7533, or you can email them at gcottenham@prioritybusiness.ca. They offer city service with small town values. All right. We featured him before, but he's forced our hand. He's got to be our prospect of the week yet again. It's Mr. Danil Prokhorov.
Yeah. Well, 6'4" Russian winger. He first caught my eye in the fall tournament where he played on a line with Ryabkin and was the best player on the U18 squad. He scored in every game in that tournament. And he did the same thing in a 2-game event they had here against Belarus's U18 and U20 teams. I have not seen many guys that with his puck protection and cycling skills. He's just such a beast out there. The main highlights are from his dominant performance versus Belarus U18. It's nice to see these kids against their peers, and I really wish we got more opportunity to see the Russians, but obviously they've been banned again for a little while. But you'll notice that, he just dominates down low on the cycle against his peers. It's crazy how hard it is to get the puck from him. But he finished this game with 8 shots, all right, a goal and 2 assists. And his puck protection skills versus his peers may be the best in this draft class. I just I'm reminded of Valery Nikushkin. Look at that player. He's got such long reach, and unfortunately they didn't have that. That play was a replay. They didn't have it. They were showing freaking commercials or something. And so we never got to see it in live action, but you'll just notice in all of these highlights how dominant he is in his age group against Belarus. I just really wish we'd be able to see him playing against the best under 18 players in the world, because I think he'd be in the first round. Look at this play. He bats it to himself. The puck was in the air, batted it to himself there, and then got a nice shot on net. But so he's got good eye-hand coordination, obviously, too. But you just see in all of these, look at he just bowls over people, right? Reminds me of Nikushkin, like I say, in his draft year. Maybe he doesn't skate as well as Nikushkin did, but from a physical domination standpoint, and again, there too, right? He just behind the net, he's basically unstoppable. Reminds me a little bit of Gabe Velarde in that regard. In his junior years, like the skating, not fantastic, but look at this. His puck protection skills are not that far off like Jagger at that age. It's just one of the best draft prospects in the last 20 years as far as protecting the puck that I've seen. So that translates to the NHL, right? That's the type of stuff, like when you have something, an elite quality, and there was an assist for him. It's funny, he had 2 assists in these 2 games, yet in junior hockey, like his for Dynamo St. Petersburg, he has 4 assists in 33 games. So it's funny, he goes to this, he went and played with Ryabkin on the top line, yet he's only on his second, third line on his club team. Sometimes all it takes is just a coach that believes in you. And I think that's part of the reason why he's maybe not ranked that high, because people look at his stats in the MHL and think, well, should be better. But he wouldn't be the first Russian that looks fantastic and plays fantastic on the national team, but then back in the club team for whatever reason, be it opportunity, be it his coach, doesn't give him the same chance, and he's just not as dominant. But I think, not many NHL scouts are seeing these events. And when you watch them on, and again here, like, look at how I just love the physical domination. If you're doing that versus your peers at 18, he's only going to get stronger, bigger. He's going to do it. He's going to do it at the pro level down the road. So, love to see an elite tool, like I say, and for him, aside from his size, it's his ability to cycle the puck and just virtually unstoppable. But you see in these highlights too that he can also be physical. He throws some hits, and I think he had about five or six in this game. Again, you like to see that. But you notice how quickly the guy dished off the puck when the big rig was coming after him. And,
understandable.
Turned it over to him, right? He went to feigned hitting him, and the guy just, oh, here you go, you can have it, big guy. But again, he just fights through the checks. When he decides he's going to the net, he's going to the net. But being physical against a rival in international settings, that was his goal. That was his goal against the U20 team.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got to. So you see there how good a shot he's got, right? You combine that with his puck protection skills. I think he's a pretty smart player too. I'm surprised that he doesn't have more assists, but what I see here is somebody that's going to excel at the in the playoffs, whatever league he's playing in.
Yeah.
Like you see Nikushkin, look at the back check here too. I like that, his stride's a little short, but I like his hustle and a strong back check from him there. Now, I only have a few highlights. He wasn't as dominant, obviously, against the U20 Belarusian team, but he's still only 17. Like, he doesn't turn 18 till the end of April. So give him a couple of years playing against the Belarusian U20 team in a couple of years. He'll be just as dominant as he is at the U18 level. So
that's it.
His skating's not too bad. Here he almost went end to end. And again, that's where versus 19-year-olds, right? As a 17-year-old. But I just see a guy that translates really well. When you've got the best puck protection skills in your draft class, that's good. Especially you're 6'4".
Every team needs that. Yep.
Yeah. He's second on his club team in goals. So he is producing goals. He's not getting assists, but I've seen he can make plays. He sees the ice well. I think that's more of an anomaly, more so than, he's going to be more of a goal scorer than a playmaker, safe to say. But, I see a kid with middle line winger, power forward, upside that can notch 20 to 30 goals, play a physical game, and just be a beast on the cycle. It reminds me of Armia on the cycle when Armia's, how you can't stop
move him. Can't move
You
him.
know,
Nope.
well, this kid has that.
Mm.
He reminds me quite a bit of Yoel Armia.
Yeah.
And um, I don't know if he probably doesn't go in the first round, given lack of exposure playing in Russia. And I did have him in the first. I moved him back when he wasn't producing, but I went back and I looked at some even games where he wasn't producing. He's doing that stuff. He's creating opportunities. Just maybe line mates aren't finishing. Maybe he's not scoring as much as he could on these plays. But I see a kid that can be a real force come playoff time, really help you keep the puck in the opposite opponent's end. And even if they don't score, that's so effective in a bottom six role, being able to bottle up the other team in the other team's end. Like that line with Perry, Armia,
Stall.
and Stahl.
Mm.
They were a huge reason why Montreal made the final that year.
Big time.
Didn't score a pile of points, but they puck possession, time in zone, they spent the majority of their shifts in the other team's zone. And when you do that, the other team's not scoring, right? So it's a really important part of tight checking playoff type hockey. And this kid, for me, you know, he may not be a big regular season point getter, but come playoff time, you want kids
maker.
like this.
Mm-hmm.
You want this type of player in your bottom six, and it's extremely valuable. And I think he's got that upside. So he was the captain of this again. He comes to the national team and they love him, and with good reason, because he's been their best player, the U18 level. Isayev was at that tournament, and so was Zurovsky, or I forget it how you pronounce it now, but the kid the stick handler that we highlighted a couple of weeks ago, he outplayed them both by far. He was the best. He was the best draft like under 18 player by far on the team, and he outplayed Ryabkin at the last tournament they were at. Mm-hmm. And this time Ryabkin had the C there. He's got the C for this event, so they love him on the national level. And again, that's another. You like to see the kids wearing C. Tells you that they're well respected and good character kid. So he's my Russian sleeper. I just every time, I circle back and I go, geez, especially in this draft, by the end of the first round, if you can grab a kid that you think can play a significant middle line role, that's like they're going at the end of the first round, Mm-hmm. So I think somewhere between 20 and 40, you have to look seriously at this kid, even if there's the question of him playing in Russia and not having a pile of assists. But, that there's just too much good in his game. And I'm back on the Prokhorov bandwagon.
Amazing. Oh, it's not hard to see why this player has the intangibles, as we say. So love to see that. Danil Prokhorov is our PBS prospect of the week. Now, before we get to our honorable mentions, I want to tell you guys about these wonderful people down here over at MKProp RE. Of course, if you're looking for a hat trick in real estate, Team MKProp RE delivers every time with 5-star Google reviews, professional photography to make your property shine, and unmatched West Island expertise. Helen and Franco's award-winning service guarantees that your real estate journey is a winning play, whether you're buying or selling. So trust the team that makes every move a success. Call Helen and Franco at 514-915-1750. All right. As you mentioned, no CHL players this week, but We got some good ones. Now, I don't know what to call this one. Maybe an underrated, underappreciated, however you want to frame it. But our next honorable mention is Ethan Wittenbach.
Yeah. Well, he's ranked 222 by Central Scouting. Look at that shot, eh? I don't like. I get it, sort of. I mean, he's 5'9.25". Wouldn't say he's a fabulous skater for his size. So, that kills you when it comes to the draft to a certain degree. But here are his goal highlights. He's got he's got he's got some sniper ability. This kid, I like. He's got a great shot. He finishes, just a great finisher. Loves going to the net. He's not afraid by any means. He gets his nose in the middle of things there. He's fairly stocky, so it's not like he's slight in any degree. But look at, like, not a lot of room there, and he finds he has ability to score, and that's I'm sorry, but I'm always going to be attracted to that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you got to score goals, right? So, but there's a nice tip too. Went to the net, and he's a top scoring USHL rookie. Okay, sixth overall in the USHL in scoring, with 45 points in 39 games. Now, I believe he's tied for third. Look at that shot. That's a pro goal right there. Off the inside of the post, really quick release and accurate. The kid can snipe. He's going to Quinnipiac, and they have a way of pumping out he's just,
that's a good program. Yeah.
He finds they typically take undrafted kids, and that might be the case with him, because if he's 222 North America, that's not drafted, and end up pumping out guys that get signed by NHL clubs. But I don't know if that'll be the case with him or not, but I don't know. Top 6 in USHL scoring as a rookie. You see a kid like Whitelaw with similar stats, similar size, better skater, whatever, but a lot of similarities there. He went in the, I believe, the third round or something like that with Columbus. I don't see why that later in the draft you can't look at something, kid like this that just simply scores. He has 11 goals in his last 11 games. The USHL. Nobody's scoring at that pace. Like, if he keeps that up the rest of the year, he's going to be the leading goal scorer in the league. I think that he's going to have to be climbing on, Central's list probably came out before the last 11 games. So you start scoring at a goal per game pace in the USHL. It's your draft year. Like, kids that are 18, 19 that score at that pace get drafted typically out of the USHL, because it's not a high scoring league. So I think he's a riser. You got to look at him. Doesn't blow me away defensively. Not a great skater, but I see a kid that's going to score. Is going to score at the college level, obviously scoring at the junior level. He could be an AHL point producer down the road, goal scorer. I think be worth a flyer later in the draft, I think. So I figure he's a riser on lists. Talk to a few NHL scouts, and there's not much. They haven't been, I don't think he's on a lot of lists yet, but he keeps scoring at a goal a game pace, and scoring scoring like goals, finishing like, he's shown that he can. I don't see why you can't consider him later in the draft.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. And now one more to end things off. This guy coming out of Croatia. Not a ton of hockey players coming out of there, but love to see the game growing. I'd love to see this player doing well. We're talking about Bruno Ijan.
Of course we're talking about him. Yeah, it's pronounced they pronounce it Ijden in these things, but it is IDZ. I'd say Ijden, but that's hard to say too. So.
If Bruno wants to write to us, please, we'd love to know
Bruno,
the correct
get in
pronunciation.
touch with us, here, pal. But he's I mean, it's an interesting story. He's a Croatian kid who was eligible last year. He played 3 seasons in Sweden. Didn't put up great stats or anything, but for whatever reasons this year, he he played in the Alps HL, which is the top Croatian league, men's league. He had 21 goals in 19 games.
Yep.
And this is as an 18-year-old. Like, that's a men's league. Like, the top scorer in that league is Carson Briere. That's Danny's son. Most well known for pushing a wheelchair down the stairs of a second floor bar that went viral on social media. But when the video came out, but Briere has 23 goals in 33 games. Okay, that's a top scorer. He had 21 in 19.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes to the USHL. He's playing for Lincoln. You see by these highlights, he reminds me a little bit of Noah Powell, who Philly drafted in the mid rounds last year. His skating, is fugly, like not just ugly, it's fugly.
Yeah.
And it was the same deal with Powell last year, but he simply scored goals. And so far, this kid's doing the same thing. Like, I think he's got 24 points in 17 games so far, and that's just joining the USHL. Like, nobody scores at that pace, or very few. He's thick and stocky. Scores most of his goals in the crease area. He has 11 goals in his last 11 games. All right. I mean, nobody does that at the USHL level, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But you saw this video, his very first shift, he scored a goal. Said, "Oh, okay. Well, I like that." But he's hard to move from the crease. He cross-checks the defenseman more than they cross-check him. It's kind of funny. He stands there and cross-checks them to get them out of the way so he can get to the puck. But he's going to score greasy goals. It's not going to be pretty. He had 2 goals in that game. But there's a buzz there because, like, he's obviously not played at high levels, right? But blossomed this year, went to the men's league and was their top scorer at 18. Mm-hmm. That's impressive. Comes to the USHL and keeps scoring. 11 goals in his last 11 games. It's his first 2 months in the league, and he's Powell did the same thing last year as an undrafted 18, 19-year-old that, lit it up. Couldn't skate a lick, but, get him the puck in the offensive zone and he puts it in the back of the net. So be interesting to see whether this kid gets drafted. I don't know. I mean, his skating is not pretty, and but what if it comes? He hasn't played. He played in Croatia. I don't think, not noted skating coaches. Not many notable skating coaches have come out of Croatia. Gets I don't know what the plan will be. Maybe he goes to the OHL next year. I sent a text to Al Latang, who you remember coached Canada's world junior team a couple of years ago. He's coaching Sarnia, but he coached in Croatia for quite a few years, and coached their national team and stuff. But, I said, I don't know if you're, aware of this kid or not, but you should look into it and try to get him to the OHL next year. Right. I think because he's come over and played in the USHL, I'm not exactly sure of all the rules, but I don't know that you'd have to draft him in the import draft, the CHL. He might be a kid that can switch leagues, because we've seen that recently with some kids that came over, European kids. So, maybe he switches to the OHL next year and can put up some numbers there and just keep developing. But I don't know if he's a draft or not. But judging by Noah Powell's skating, I didn't think he'd be a draft last year either, and he went mid-rounds. You could score goals. There's reasons why. There's things that you bring that, may not translate, but if the other parts of his game come along, you've got a goal scorer, and that's always, at the end of the day, that's how you win a game. You got to score more goals than the other guys. So Anyway, he's there's been some buzz. Some scouts are talking about him. They're looking at him. So I don't know. I'll keep an eye on him the rest of the year, and if he keeps scoring at a goal a game pace, too, like Wittenbach, the two of them, hey, they're hot, and two kids to keep an eye on the rest of the year that are at least starting to get some notice.
Love it. Yep, that's amazing stuff, Grant. And unfortunately, you can't start betting on draft props just yet, but you can absolutely go over to Betway and put a few bucks on the Four Nations tournament. All right, you can go all the way with Betway, and you can still get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. You can scan that QR code there on the screen, or click on the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. The offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. And of course, you must be 18 years or older, and please play responsibly. I'm not going to give a sick pick today because I don't want to jinx the boys, but I think we understand what I'm trying to say here. So let us know in the comments your sick pick, who you think is going to win the Four Nations face-off, who's going to win that crucial game on Saturday, Canada, USA. It's going to be a good one. Grant, anything else before we head out for today?
No, just going to go get my snow shovel tuned up there, ready to go again. Might get snowed in this weekend, but I'll have to sit near the TV and watch a bunch of hockey. Shucks.
Well, I hope you enjoy the hockey. We will all see you again on Sunday to talk a little bit of Habs prospects. Obviously, Habs not playing, but we did get a bit of news today that David Reinbacher is skating with a regular jersey at the Laval Rocket practice. So we might have some news for you on Sunday. Stay tuned for that. But for Grant McCagg, I'm producer Shane. This has been another edition of the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast. We'll see you Sunday.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.